All right, I'm going to go ahead and reconvene the issue review session from the earlier meeting. Next item on our agenda is the Vision Zero. If we could, let me pull this back up. So next we have Vision Zero. I know is up. There they are. Julian and Shelley.
Yeah.
All right.
Hand it over to you.
Mayor and Council, Shelley Seiler, Deputy Public Works Director, and with me today is...
Julian Dresang, City Traffic Engineer.
And we are here tonight to make a presentation to you on Vision Zero. I will turn it over to Julian to get started.
Thank you, Shelley. I'd like to thank the Mayor and Council for allowing me to present on this subject that is something I'm very passionate about, and that's transportation safety. Unfortunately, the reality is that there are crashes on our system, and sometimes they're very unfortunate. And I've just pulled a couple of headlines from within the last year of incidences that have taken place on City of Tempe streets. And those are there before you. This is the good news. The good news is you as a council have already demonstrated that this is something that you're passionate about and that you're concerned about. And that's represented in this performance measure, 1.08, which is to achieve a reduction in the number of fatal and serious injury crashes to zero. So that's the good news. Many of us are touched by crashes, more particularly fatal and serious injury crashes. And as I go through this presentation, I encourage those of you in the room on council that maybe have experienced this or been touched by a family member, a friend, to think about that as I go through this. This is my friend Alex. When we were in seniors in high school, Alex and three of our friends went to the movie theater, and unfortunately were involved in a crash, and Alex didn't survive. His mom and dad are missing a son. His brother and sister are missing a brother, and myself and many people in the community still to this day are missing a friend. So please, as I go through this, realize that these change people's lives, these incidents, and some people it's very difficult to recover from. When you look on the screen, to most of us, these just look like 48 purple dots. With a simple click of my mouse, these become people. These become moms, dads, brothers, sisters, children. And so as I go through numbers tonight, I want us to remember that each number is an impacted person. This is someone that has lost their life, and we definitely don't want to take that lightly. In the past 6 years, over 60 people have lost their lives in vehicle crashes on City of Tempe streets. In addition to that, more than 400 people were seriously injured. When we talk about the data, we're talking about crashes that involve motorized vehicles. And unfortunately, nearly every day there's crashes on City of Tempe streets. These numbers that I'm sharing with you are just City of Tempe streets. They do not include freeways or any of the ADOT facilities. There's different levels of severity for crashes. Some are as minor as fender benders, property damage only, and then you have the extreme other end, which is fatal crashes. Today I'm going to be focusing primarily on fatal and serious injury crashes. Initially I just had 5 years of data, but I was able to get 2017 data from our City of Tempe Police Department, and you can see each year we have fatal crashes, each year we have serious injury crashes. Through our goal, we'd like to get that to be zero. Are we doing things today? We're doing great things today. Our Public Works Department, our transportation, and others are working diligently day in, day out to try to improve our infrastructure. Our police department daily goes out and enforces our streets. Our fire medical rescue is responding to these crashes to make sure that they get the best medical attention they can get, because a lot of times the difference between a serious injury crash and a fatality is getting the needed medical response that they need. So what is Vision Zero? Vision Zero was started in the 1990s in Sweden, and it was a kind of a change in philosophy, a change in strategy. And what the public determined and the local governing bodies was that crashes are an ethical issue, that we have an ethical opportunity to improve what's currently happening out there, that crashes, people don't have to die out on the system. And so there's three key principles. The first being that deaths and injuries are preventable. We don't have to have a system where people are dying and getting injured. Can we get rid of every single crash? We cannot. But when a crash does occur, we can try to make sure that the severity is reduced. That instead of fatalities, maybe we're getting minor injuries. Instead of injuries, we're just getting fender benders. And the last key point is that everybody is responsible for making this happen. You as elected officials, myself and Shelley as professionals, everybody in this room, when they're driving, walking, riding a bicycle, all play into creating this safety culture. So it began in Sweden, and this movement has circumvented the globe now. And so in the United States, over 30 cities have taken on the Vision Zero framework that I'll explain in the next slide. And you can see on this map, what's missing when I look at this map is if you look in the state of Arizona, and I believe there's an opportunity for there to be a green dot right on where the city of Tempe is. What have these cities done? They've all embraced this general Vision Zero framework. The first being to set a clear goal of eliminating traffic fatalities and severe injuries. We've already done that. You've identified this already within your strategic priorities, that the goal is very clear. The next step that these other cities have done is that the mayor and council have publicly and officially committed to Vision Zero. Following that then is the really difficult part, and that's where we create that strategic plan or action plan to get to zero. And the only way we're going to do that is by including key city departments, including police, fire, transportation, and others, as well as really engaging our whole community. So other stakeholders being ASU, school districts, public health agencies, hospitals, groups like TBAG, getting all that input and coming up with a strategy to get to that Vision Zero goal. So this just happened to come into my inbox today, and I thought I would share this too. I didn't have this at the time when this presentation got put together, but I have been asked, is this working? Two cities that were early adopters of Vision Zero are New York City and San Francisco. New York City has seen a 28% drop in traffic fatalities since embracing Vision Zero, and San Francisco has seen a 41% drop. So I think that these communities are showing that if everybody gets on board and really aggressively takes this on, that we can reduce the number of fatal and serious injury crashes. And I do believe at some point we could get to zero. So at this point, I can do my best to answer any questions or get feedback from Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Julian, and thank you for the presentation. I think this is something we should adopt. I look to my council colleagues. I mean, everything else we're doing, we are a leader in, and I think this fits right up there. As Julian pointed out on the map, there's no other city in the state of Arizona that has committed to a Vision Zero opportunity, and I think we could be the first. Pleasure to move forward. Yes, Councilman Shapiro.
I just wanted to thank you for sharing your personal story in the midst of all that. I know that's difficult to do in public, and just appreciate you doing that.
Thank you.
All right, let's move forward.
Thank you.
Okay.
Back to it. So the next steps is what?
So I think our next step would then be to present to you with a resolution that would
Perfect. Okay.
fulfill step 2, and then we'd move on to
Yes.
creating the action plan.
Councilman Cuban.
It's often said that Tempe leads the way, but I'm just so proud to work in a city where staff leads the way. So thank you so much for bringing your expertise and your passion to this issue.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Graham.
That was actually the comment I wanted to make as well. A lot of the times, we're sending staff off on sometimes good ideas, sometimes wild goose chases, and all sorts of things. And I'm really glad that you all take the initiative to bring these sort of innovative programs forward. I would love to see 10 more like this, where there are things that you as experts in the field go, look, we are generalists by nature. We have to be. And so I would be thrilled if we had 10 more things that came up like this. And maybe we only sign on to 6 of them or 8 of them or whatever. But this is exactly the kind of things, whether it's not just staff, but frankly also our citizen boards and commissions, coming forward as experts saying this is what you should be doing. I would love to see this all the time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Great. Thank you.
All right, with that, any future agenda items? I do have one I want to bring to the council attention. At next week's regular council meeting, you guys, as you know, Innings Festival is partnering with Live Nation as well as Lollapalooza and holding the first 3-day music festival here in Tempe at Tempe Beach Park. You know, they're working in conjunction with Major League Baseball and spring training. They're committed to Tempe, and they're even talking about expanding it in future years. One of the things they've asked us is if we all know, we've had this conversation, we have some inoperable restrooms that are kind of an eyesore in a way, and they asked if we could, you know, if part of our master plan is to actually get rid of those, and they asked if we can help do this sooner rather than later. So I said I would ask the council before we do anything, if we could put it on the next following week's agenda. And there is some contingency funds that we could have available to do this. We haven't used any of the contingency funds yet to date, but I will say that this is something that's already in our master plan that if we could do it sooner rather than later, especially with the new festival coming up, I think it'd be beneficial, but I would work with the colleagues. And I think you actually asked about this earlier.
Well, after Iron Man, I went into one of the bathrooms to help a friend change who couldn't get their clothes off because they were too tired. You don't want to go in those bathrooms. There is nothing useful about them anymore. So I would happily see that on an agenda.
I mean, eventually we're going to have to do it, but I think if we can do it.
It was like a clothespin. It was bad news to try. Oh, it was bad.
Let's do it.
All right, wait a minute.
Mayor,
Yes,
I have a
Councilman
future agenda item.
Okay.
I would like to see a future presentation on our local bike codes and how they compare to other cities in the valley.
Yep.
Thank you.
Local bike codes and how they compare to other cities. Councilman Cubey?
Just redo.
Just,
Yeah.
Well, we're taking another look.
You just did the e-bike part, not the regular bike part.
We did the whole
Huh?
bike code.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I think we did cover that, but if we could have a Friday package as a reminder of all that, maybe,
Okay.
or.
Well, I want to make a change to the bike code. That's why I wanted to come back before the.
So maybe just to give staff a limiting thing, maybe not all of the bike code, maybe just the bike code as it relates to crosswalks and crossings. So
That's
they don't
fine.
come back with all the stuff on e-bikes, and I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
So did you get that? Okay, great.
All right.
And
Yes.
I have some updates.
Yeah.
probably.
Well, we're going to get to that. Okay, with that, we will conclude the issue review session. Next item is our committee of the whole. We do have a public hearing. Is there anyone in the audience wishing to address us on any of the items listed on the committee of the whole? You can. You have up to 3 minutes to address us on those items. Seeing none. Under item 4A, items ready for council status or direction. We don't have any. We don't have any new items for consideration by the council. But we do have items in progress, and I know Councilman Cubie would like to say something.
First of all, number 12, the renewable energy target. So the Renewable Energy Working Group has been working really hard, lots of outreach to stakeholders. We've been working with the utilities and non-governmental organizations, NGOs, ASU professors, students, and really have done a thorough job. And we're scheduled to have a public meeting next week on the 17th, at 6 o'clock at the Pyle Center, and we'll hear what our residents have to say. We also have the forum, the online forum is open for comment on the renewable energy target. And just want to say kudos to Braden Kay and to Grace Kelly, who have done so much to have this be a very structured, ordered, and a process where we're making real progress. So stay tuned. In the next working group session, you'll be hearing a recommendation from the working group on the energy target. Number 15 is plastic bags. I know you're all excited to hear about this one. And well, you know, the state legislature has preempted and stopped us from regulating our own trash in the form of single-use plastic. And we know the city of Bisbee, our sister city, is challenging that in the courts. But I'm happy to report, and our fellow council member, Navarro, that's your name, that working with Tempe Safeway, they've agreed to work with us on a volunteer program, a program that they'll put forward, and we'll work together in partnership, and I'm really excited about that potential. You'll be hearing about the details of that very soon. And lastly, number 18, humble houses, small homes, tiny houses. It's really humble houses. You're going to be hearing in your Friday packet about the RFP, and we have chosen, or I should say staff has chosen through the procurement process, Newtown Development Corporation to lead that. And so we'll be hearing about that in the Friday packet, and then in future meetings we'll be deciding about how to go forward with that development agreement. But I'm excited that process is happening. Did you have a question, Councilmember Granville?
No, I just wanted to make sure I was listening, that's all.
So that's it.
All right. Anybody else? Yes, Councilman Sparrow.
Thanks, Mayor. Arts in the Parks, mine and Councilmember Navarro and Councilmember Keating's work group. We had our first pilot event at Estrada Park. It was awesome. I attended most of it, and lots of crafts for kids and local artists that had stuff on display, and some great performances from some local bands. It was really good. Our next one is coming up, and I'm hoping that others will attend so that you all can see what these events are like.
I was at Estrada Park.
Did you go?
Heck yeah.
Okay,
I
I
played
missed you.
that. I played volleyball and everything.
So on February 24th, put it on your calendar. It's a Saturday, February 24th at Mitchell Park is the second of our 2 pilot events for Arts in the Park. So please stop by, check it out so that we can make an informed decision when it's all done. Thank you.
All right, with that, I did have a couple of announcements. One, I want to remind everyone that this Saturday, January 13th at 7 p.m. at the Tempe Center for the Arts, we have Laugh the Night Away, benefiting individuals with special needs. It's really going to benefit the Susie Foundation. And it's starring our own, where is he? Parrish.
There he is.
Mr. Parrish Spies is going to be starring our own for a Laughing the Night Away. This is a great opportunity, and this will be happening this Saturday at Tempe Center for the Arts at 7 p.m. I also want to remind people, and I know it was mentioned earlier in the meeting, that we have the Rock and Roll Marathon is happening this coming Sunday, but on Saturday, I know we think we have the Kids Rock Run and a couple other events that are taking place. It's great to see all the individuals here. What's that? I'm getting there. Geez, relax. We're getting there. And then we also, I think tomorrow evening, we do have the Rock and Roll, it's a 1 mile run. It's new this year for Rock and Roll Marathon. I think we all probably should have signed up for that one.
Only if you did.
I just now saw it. And then we also have the Fitness Expo that's going to be happening with our friends on just to the west of us in downtown Phoenix. Also Saturday, we have the Polar Plunge that's going to be taking place at the lakes, the clubhouse at 5501 South Lakeshore Drive. That starts at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. And also this tomorrow evening, Friday night, we do have the raffle and the auction it's a pre-party and silent auction for the Polar Plunge that will be happening at the Watershed located on Lakeshore in the lakes as well, right across from the Lakeshore Community, the Lakes Community Center where the Polar
Mayor,
Plunge will be.
If I buy something at the silent auction, can I get out of going into the Polar Plunge this year? It is,
don't have
the
to
water
do
is
it.
cold.
It's not gonna be
The
bad.
water is cold.
Not as cold
Not
as
this
it has
year.
been.
That's the real Polar Water Club. They have to break the ice off
Yeah.
the top.
I
That's
would,
the
I
real
would
thing.
write any check
I
to
think
get
the
out
real
of doing
one
that
was in
event.
Chicago when it was like minus,
I think
whatever. But anyways,
What's in the now?
Doing a wetsuit.
that's with that. That is Mr. Manager, do you have any
I'm not going to do it. I would die.
comments? Okay, we will adjourn our meeting. We do have a quick executive meeting that we need to attend upstairs. We are adjourned.